Hey everybody, it's Elisa from Moonstruck Vintage. I'm coming to you from my basement this morning. I'm going to be packing up a sale that I made online. It happens to be three items, three breakable items that are all going to the same buyer. So I thought I'd take this opportunity and show you how I pack and ship breakable items. So you can see my collection back here of lamps and lampshades. I tend to pick up lampshades when they're in nice condition and unique whenever I find them, especially if they're inexpensive, because if anybody's bought lampshades lately, you know how expensive they can be. So I keep a little stock here, and as I purchase a lamp, most of the time they don't have a lampshade or the right lampshade, so I like to have some on hand. So that's one of the little areas of my basement. Someday I'm going to give you a full tour, but not right now. So anyway, right where I am right now is my shipping table. So I keep all my items that I'm shipping on this table, and I also am surrounded by like bubble wrap and packing paper and boxes and all sorts of packing peanuts and that kind of thing. Lots of tape and pens and markers and anything I might need to actually pack up and ship an online order. So today I'm going to get started by showing you what sold. So this particular customer bought this Italian pottery. It's made in Italy. I don't know if you can see it there, the mark on the back. It's a vintage piece. I mean, their styles don't change dramatically, but it's all hand painted. Um, and it's really hard to judge the age, but it's an older piece based on, and a lot of times what I can tell is based on the wear on the bottom. Looks like natural wear, just general scuffs and such. That helps me determine the age of an item, or at least determine if it's older piece. And the other two pieces they bought were Portuguese pottery. These are also hand painted, beautiful, and there happens to be a pair. They weren't sold as a pair, but they're the same pattern. So this one's got reticulated cutouts along the sides. It's perfect for Easter. And you can see on the back, it's made in Portugal. Portugal makes beautiful pottery as well. So these three pieces sold to the same person. So I typically would not pack them in the same box, but today we're going to do that because I happen to have the perfect box. And I think that's one of the things that's most important when shipping items. This one happened to come with something I ordered for the shop, and it's full of packing peanuts. It's a nice big box. I think I'll be able to wrap all the individual pottery pieces and still give them enough breathing room within the box so they don't touch one another or touch the sides. And to me, that's like critical, right? So you want to make sure that the pottery pieces, once they're wrapped, don't touch aren't close to the sides of the box, and they also are not really touching each other or banging into each other. So let's go ahead and get started. It helps to start with the perfect box. The first thing I typically do is I have some packing paper here. This is just blank newsprint, and I'm reusing it from another project. And it's clean. It just has been used before. So I'm okay with reusing paper as long as it is clean and good condition. Excuse me. And, you know, I'm all about recycle and reuse, and that's why I'm using that box, the packing peanuts in it, and now this paper. So I'm going to start by wrapping this piece. And I wrap it first in this packing paper. Now, you notice it's not pretty, and that's not the intention. The intention is to kind of just give it a little extra protection from any bubble wrap I'm going to be using. So, and make sure and get that wrapped. I might do a couple of pieces. Again, kind of create some air and some extra padding around the item. But is it necessary? I don't know. It just makes me feel better. So I do it because I feel like it's an additional layer of protection to the piece from anything else that might be bumping into it, some extra folds and extra pockets of air. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing with the basket. Now the basket is kind of tricky because it does have a handle. So we want to make sure to get wrapped around that handle really good too. I'm going to tape it so it kind of stays in place. Kind of looks like that. Now I might take an extra piece of paper on that one. And kind of stuff it in to fill the void. So when I say that, I'm taking this paper, crumpling it up, and stuffing it down inside. It just hopefully will give a little bit more structure to this item. So now the handle isn't necessarily just protruding out. It does have a little extra padding around it. And we'll do our last piece. I always keep lots of packing tape with me. And I use this type of packing tape dispenser. So I have free hands that I can, it's held in place. It's easy to pull and tear and wrap items with tape. One more piece of paper for this one. And again, this is not about making it pretty, because this is not pretty. This is about protection for the item. There you go. So we have 3 pieces in paper. Now the next step for me is bubble wrap. Now, I absolutely reuse any bubble wrap I get in shipping, but in addition to that, I need lots of bubble wrap. So I do buy it in these large rolls. And you'll notice a pretty significant length of bubble wrap here. I'm again going to start out with the same bowl. Wrapping around a couple, 3 times. Then I'm going to transition and do the other ends, the open ends. The idea is to create a buffer around the item in every direction. And since these items are not square, they have rounded corners. We just want to make sure, sorry, a little fuzz, that each and every side is covered with at least 2 to 3 layers. Now, bubble wrap can be a little expensive, but it's well worth the investment, and it's also why I reuse any bubble wrap that I get. Just so happens these items require a little extra, so I'm going to use my big roll. So I'm now sealing each side, trying not to overkill on the taping. You know, I'm just using enough tape to close up those seams and keep the bubble wrap from shifting. Now, don't annoy your customer, right, by adding too much packing tape. I think we've probably all received an item in the mail and it's just like wrapped and wrapped and wrapped. That's not necessary. And plus it allows them possibly to reuse that bubble wrap. Or and the other thing that is, it adds weight to your item. So the idea is to always be conservative in terms of weight, but to pack appropriate for safe shipping. So next item. This bubble wrap is perforated, so it's easy to tear apart. I'm going to do the basket next. You'll see I'm rolling the item several times. And then I'm going to transition and cover the sides. So every side is covered significantly by the bubble wrap. Again, taping down, folding, trying to conserve on tape. Creating a little bundle, you see. Now you'll notice this is the item that had the handle. So again, I'm trying to make it kind of, so the shape, that handle isn't protruding out on its own, making it kind of a weak point. So I'm just trying to make sure that it's more of a ball shape than actually a specific handle shape, which I think would, you know, kind of become a weak point. Okay, so there's my second item. Again, wrapped 3 times one side, 3 times the other side, creating a ball shape, taping just enough to keep it enclosed and not annoy the customer who's receiving the item, and making sure it's protected. And the last item is our little strawberry dish. Placing the item on the bubble wrap and then just rolling 2, 3 times and then transitioning. This one I'm not going to transition. I'm just going to keep wrapping, and you'll notice the ends are open. Well, I'm going to fix that in just a second. I'll show you what I do there. A little bit different approach. So there's extra bubble wrap on the edges, so I feel like I'm covered pretty well. So tape it over once, on the switch to the other side, and then tape it over there. So again, we have a complete little bundle. No corners poking out, nice and padded on each corner. Just adding some tape where I think it might be a little loose. So that is item 3. And I like to feel around the edges to make sure that nothing's poking out, nothing's like kind of exposed to possible bumping or banging. Okay, so let me put my bubble wrap back. Okay, next step is to get our box out. So as I showed you before, this box already came with lots of packing peanuts. Now, it's an extra piece of cardboard. Do I like using peanuts? Do I buy peanuts? Not necessarily. But when I get them in the mail, I try to reuse them if I can. I think they're a very viable way of packing breakable items. They're kind of annoying to people because they get all over the place and then you have to figure out how to dispose of them, etc. But, you know, what's key to me is keeping the cost down for shipping and for the customer, and also reusing any packing materials I get, because it helps the environment and it just helps keep costs down. So I am going to use these peanuts, even if it's not my favorite method. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find a place to temporarily put some of the peanuts. Just getting a box, another box. I'm going to pour out some of the peanuts. And yes, they go all over the freaking place. It's okay. It's just a temporary inconvenience. Ay, ay, ay. Okay, so just removing some to create a nice little void for our items to be shipped. Okay, so what we have left is a nice little layer on the bottom. You know, a significant layer, maybe 2 to 3 inches. And then we're going to start layering our items in the box. Now the key with packing peanuts is that they have to be tight in there, even tighter than you would expect, because they do compress down as things are being shipped. Now the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little piece of cardboard in between the items, just as an additional buffer. I'm going to put some of our peanuts back in to make a little additional buffer. I'm going to put my next flat item in. And you can see that the items are not going to be touching the sides of the box. Very important, because that's where a lot of the damage can occur, is when they're touching the side of the box. Okay. Actually, I'm going to reverse it. I'm going to put I'm actually going to put the handled item in next, with the cardboard down. A few peanuts in between. And then I'm going to tuck this one in, scoot it over. Okay, I know it's probably hard for you to see, but again, there's lots of void around the outside of these items. The next thing I'm going to do is I am just going to fill the box with the remainder of the peanuts. Okay, you can see they kind of puff out over the top, but that's okay, because like I was saying, you want to shake it so everything gets pressed down and the voids are filled with other peanuts. And I just go through this process, and you'll see they start to tamp down a little bit. Okay, now I'm starting to think, well, gee, I might need a few more peanuts. No worries, we have more peanuts. Basically, my life is peanuts. So, this is my grandfather's basket. You want to see that? My grandfather, where I grew up, I lived in the same house as my maternal grandparents. And when my grandfather retired, he took one of their spare bedrooms and made it into a bakery. So he used to make bread and pizzas and cookies and all sorts of things. And he used to deliver bread using this basket. Isn't that cool? It's always with me. I love it. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add more peanuts. Ooh, you know what? I forgot something. I always put a little thank you sticker and my business card with the item. That way people know if they have any questions or concerns, they can contact me. I'm just going to dig down and stick it in there. I go through this every time, you guys. I'm always forgetting to put that in there. Okay. But I usually get it in eventually. So I'm just adding a few more peanuts, because I want it to compress down and I want it to be nice and tight. So I might even have it sticking up a little bit. Give it another shake. And then when I go to close the box, I'm actually pushing down a little. Like, I'm not jumping up and down on it, but I am making sure that it's compressed down. This is the other reason I love this box, and I wanted to reuse it, because it already has this fragile tape on it. So that's really nice too. So I start out by making sure the sides are tight in. I put a little starter piece of tape on here, so I keep it nice and tight. Then I tighten down this side. Before I seal it, I pick it up and I shake it. And there should be no movement. No shaking around, no clanging together, no, nothing. So this is like a solid piece. No movement, and that's exactly what I want. So now that I'm comfortable with that, I start adding some tape. That tape piece wasn't long enough. I try to tuck it in. Any ragged pieces, I kind of try to tuck those in so people know these are reused boxes, but they don't have to look shabby. So keep them as clean and tidy as possible. Again, not overdoing the tape, okay? Don't overdo the tape because that just adds waste and frustration for anybody who's trying to open the box. You do want to make sure it's nice and secure. And I always check the bottom tape too, because that was the original tape and that looks good. So there you have it. You'll notice the old label is on there. So when I print off my label, it will completely cover this. I will probably cover this, anything that has any sort of barcode or numbers on it on the box, other than what you need to use to send this package should be covered up. So what I have is, I have some other stickers. These are just stickers that show that I am reusing and recycling, repurposing materials. So I'm just going to cover that up. So it probably wouldn't cause a problem, but we don't want any confusion, right? So no extraneous information other than the label that's going to cover this. So feeling good. So the next steps for me are going to be to weigh and measure this item. And I typically use if I'm selling on eBay or Etsy, I use their calculated shipping because you do get a discount when you're shipping from eBay and Etsy. As a seller, you do get some discounts on your shipping. So it's well worth it to do that. So that's pretty much it. I just wanted to show you the method in which I package up breakables and ship them out for delivery. This is a really nice sale. These are going to Florida. 2 pieces of Portugal pottery and 1 piece of Italian pottery. So thanks to whoever was out there buying these from me. I mean, I know who you are. Thank you. Appreciate you. I don't think you've been in our store, but I really appreciate your purchase. And thanks to everybody for watching. I hope this was helpful. Please share any tips you might have in packing breakable items also. Have a good day, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.